we're going to take a little bit more time to look at the theory issues, where there have been a number of theories proposed over the year. My own work with Richard Mayer originally on a syntactic and semantic model has been refined over the years, and in outline it suggests that there are two kinds of concepts that you need to learn about as a user and you need to think about as a designer: the concepts in the task domain and the concepts in the computer domain. In addition, there is syntax to carry out the tasks that the users need to accomplish. I believe that the goal of good design is to minimize the syntactic load, minimize the computer domain semantics, and provide a visual representation of the world of action, and thus creating the so-called direct manipulation environment where, as I'm doing right now, I'm pointing directly at the object of interest. And users can be more productive and have lower error rates in this direct manipulation kind of environment. Many people are developing these kind of environments, and we're still learning how to make them work still better. So this framework makes a strong separation between the conceptual and the syntactic knowledge being largely rote memorized, whereas the conceptual is meaningfully acquired by analogy and example. Jim Foley's four-level model has quite parallel structure, but makes a neat separation into four components. My own emphasis is to add attention to the difference between actions and objects, which I think both should be represented visually, and to focus on the task domain. Foley's four-level model has been used in many people's designs to provide a good characterization of the different levels of organization. Card, Moran, and Newell proposed the keystroke level model, which has a very nice predictive aspect for experts' use of a computer system in an error-free environment. It counts things such as the number of keystrokes, the time to acquire a pointing device, the time to point, and some quantity usually referred to as M for mental operations, but I would like to see more explanation of what those mental operations are. Their GOMS model does provide an interesting elaboration and a portrait of the information that's necessary for users to accomplish their goals. Don Norman provides us with a much more dynamic model, and this is one of its strengths. Rather than talking so much about the knowledge in the user's mind, he talks about the process by which they carry through their interactions. First, they form some goal, then the intention, they specify an action, and in that critical moment they execute the action. Then they see what's happened, they interpret it and evaluate it, and return to forming the next goal. This 7 stages model is nicely described in his book, and gives us an understanding in a nice way of the process. A further kind of theory is Fitz's law, a mathematical formula for predicting the time it takes for a user to move a mouse or to use other pointing devices. The variables in Fitz's law have to do with the distance that you move and the size of the target. And for predicting times, it works out quite nicely, and many people have used it to estimate the performance times in applications. I'm going to turn now to a beginning of an attempt to integrate the elements of these models, and I found the need over the years to broaden the scope of the models that have been used. And that comprehensive framework has a core that is familiar. The core of it is the perceptual, cognitive, and motor. The core of it is very akin to Don Norman's model of perceiving what's happening, forming an intention, planning an action, and carrying it out, and then perceiving what's happened, forming a new intention. So I tried to capture that central core process that goes from perceptual, cognitive, and motor. And of course, what's happening now and what I think is exciting is broadening into visual, auditory, and tactile domains. Cognitive has many levels as well, and there are many types of motor activities: typing, pointing, dragging, and now we're seeing more and more activity that involves the full body motion, which I find quite provocative. So these three core items, which we'll look at as PCM, are now going to be joined. I'm going to add items number 1, 2, and 3, and those three components are the individual differences, which are more and more the focus of attention because of the broader communities that are being engaged in these kind of systems. Different ages, older people, younger people, men and women, people with little experience, people with great experience. Different tasks, and here is the richest source of inspiration for new ideas and new breakthroughs. The high-level tasks in the application domain, the sort of middle-level tasks that we deal with in each application, and the very more specific computer domain concepts that we deal with in using any application. We'll be using this as a guide to new ideas in a moment. The social environment has now become a focus of attention. Computer-supported collaborative work has become a lively topic, and 2 conferences have been held on that issue, and we're seeing very many possibilities there. Let me go on, and again, we would show again 4, 5, and 6. Our acronym is now ITS, PCM, and we'll add the last 2, 7, and 8, of affective and cultural, and remarkably, we get this little acronym of It's PC Mac, which tells, in a brief way, the story of the breadth of issues that I want to cover. The affective issues we're beginning to move into, away from purely cognitive concerns to how does the user feel? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they anxious? Are they content? Are they eager? Are they resistant? Can we make applications that make people smile, that make them laugh, that make them cry, that bring a sigh to them? How about poetry? How about jokes? And we'll be looking briefly at those. And then the broader cultural issues. Finally, we're seeing an international perspective and greater concern for conversion to other languages, other expectations. So this framework, although this acronym is cute of PC Mac, really another portrait of it would give us a better idea. The individual issues, the social and the cultural, form one cluster of concerns, and then this traditional perceptual, cognitive, and motor, which are at the heart of the traditional theories. I do want to envelop this in the task concerns, because I see that the greatest issue here, and I want to remind us right up front about the increasing concern for the affective domain. And that gives me a quick overview of this It's PC Mac comprehensive framework, and I want to turn now